All
So
right.
they're spirit jugs from
Yes.
an African tradition.
Right.
Yes.
And so the ugly jugs were used to hold whiskey or other spirits in this country.
Okay.
In Africa, they were used as funerary. So they actually were a spirit jug.
Mm.
But in the South Carolina specifically, the groups that came from Africa by way of Haiti in South Carolina used them as a way to hide when they had fermented things and also to keep kids away from it.
Mm.
So it's a whole tradition. You make them as ugly as you can because the spirits then are
Scared away.
scared away. Yep.
They also would use this to tell kids, no, the ugly jug has evil spirits when actually it had alcohol.
Yeah.
Mm.
So other kind of spirits. Anyway,
That's so cool.
so that's what ugly jugs are.
There you go.
Hey,
There's-
sixth
Let's pay
time,
no mind.
golden.
I'll take
All
it.
right.
All right, I'm getting out of your way.
All right. Love you, dear.
Love y'all back.
All right,
All
all right.
right.
Let's do the intro real quick, and then we'll get to it.
Yes.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Degrees. My name's Adrian,
And I'm Alex.
and today we are with Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
We finally got a good connection going.
Yay!
I wanted to talk to you about DMing or like playing Dungeons and Dragons with children, younger individuals. I don't have too much knowledge of that. Alex has some, so I know that there's like maybe some note trading can go, like whatever
That'd
can
be
happen.
cool. That'd
Yeah.
be cool.
Lisa, what do you, before we get into that, like, what do you do? What is?
Well, as of May 25th, I am retired,
Yeah.
but not really. So, because I don't think I'll ever quit. I've worked since I was 12, and so I just can't imagine not working. But I'm a special education teacher. I have worked with, I guess you would call them the quirky kids. The kids who are not quite able to function in a classroom, but also often have really strong abilities as long as oh, we have a fire alarm. Okay.
Oh, we're good. We're good. We're
So,
good.
okay. So I worked with a lot of kids who had autism and who were high functioning or even gifted. I worked with kids who were of average or above average IQ and also had, for example, learning disabilities. And then I ended up with three of my own who were twice exceptional, gifted, and three I gave birth to. And then we fostered kids for a lot of years. And we've adopted four more, all of whom were also gifted, and one of whom was your friend Magnus, who I dearly love. He's my boy forever and always. So I, like I said, I worked with the kids who were embarrassed to be considered special ed. And one of the things that I did, probably 25 years ago, was I started hosting clubs where the smart kids participated
Mm-hmm.
in my classroom, so that when kids came to my classroom, they thought of it as the chess club or the D&D club instead of the special ed room.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I started with that. And then I realized just how much benefit there was in using D&D and other role-playing games and other um, role-playing board games
Right.
as a way of allowing kids to explore other concepts and explore their own personalities in a way that allowed them to distance it slightly from themselves. So I used this with my youth group at church as well. And one of the things I'm looking, I pulled up, um, I put in the bulletin because we're not a
Mm-hmm.
real conservative church. I mean, we're pretty liberal, but I still was a little concerned what people might think, especially
Right.
some of our seniors, about us doing D&D on Sunday afternoon in the fellowship hall. So, D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, is a collaborative storytelling world that allows players to explore hypothetical situations and grapple with large concepts such as good and evil, truth and lies, um, and good and evil, truth and lies, and I can't remember the right and wrong in a collaborative environment. Youth and young adults are empowered to explore the consequences of their characters' choices, especially how those actions shape our ideas of morality, ethics, and personhood. Christianity, like many religions, have a long history of storytelling and parables to assist people in walking through difficult spiritual choices. So that was kind of where we started with the idea of using the storytelling as a way to let kids explore those concepts
Right.
Mm-hmm.
separate from themselves. They could be somebody totally different. They could be a Goliath who was 8 feet tall and used a broadsword or a warhammer or a maul or an axe, and you know was we're talking about a, a sixth grader who's not quite 5 feet tall and maybe even physically disabled, and giving them that power being 8 feet tall. And what would I do with it? What would I do with that strength? How does that matter? So that's kind of where we went with um, using the D&D as a way to help kids work through questions and work through their own issues, because they could be anybody. It also helped a lot with gender issues. And we have a couple of kids in our youth group who have since come out as trans, and um, two others who are gay, and it allowed them to explore that idea of what is gender, what is sex, what's it like to be the opposite, and does that matter? And so that was another really powerful way of allowing them to take control of those ideas.
Yeah, and we talk about it a lot, especially with adults, that how powerful that role playing becomes in
Mm-hmm.
their world, because those ideas, those expressions, those ways of being are still something that we are trying to reconnect to as adults. And I can't even imagine the benefit of having somebody supportive that is outside of your family unit or inside of your family unit, since you have a big family. But how important it would be to hear like all of those things, like how affirming your identity would become because you have somebody who's like, yes, let's just play, let's just try it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and playing is huge. But also saying, yes, you can play with this, but it's also a real question. What do you do when you are
Mm-hmm.
the strongest character in the room? You know, why, what, what does the idea that I am 300 pounds and I have this massive 100-pound warhammer
Mm-hmm.
and I can just beat anybody down that I want. Is that what you want to do?
Does that feel like, does that sit right with you? What are the responses about the people around you? These kinds of things that happen within the table itself is huge. And it is like, hypothetical. What if, and but it still gives you real life answers to like how other people that are still in that play world are going to react, which is, assists you in like, okay,
Powerful,
yeah, powerful. I
Mm-hmm.
really
mean,
powerful.
you can think about things on your own. It's just so much easier when you have that back and forth within that community that you have with you.
Hmm. Yeah. And then in the school environment, of course, I'm a teacher. I do school,
Hmm.
and I would make them write summaries of what we did because we used it in class. So they had to use class. And so they had to tell what happened in that session. And they had to write it out like a journal or like a story or we did first person, so how would you change this to third person? And so I did fun things like that to justify using it in the classroom.
I mean, they still have to have a reason why you're using any amount of time in something that they could say is worthless because you're not doing vocabulary or the standards or
Oh,
It's
believe
it's
me, I
not the
learned.
test.
Yes, I learned. I am very good at connecting whatever activity I want to do to the standards. I can make almost anything connect to the standards. Um, Greek and Roman mythology are part of the sixth grade curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And so we connected. Uh, yes, yes, I really did this. All of my monsters that semester were from Greek and Roman mythology.
I love that so much.
Using what you got going on, like
I
I've
mean,
been reading about this. This is going to my campaign. Information on not being used is wasted, so just use it with what you got going on, your campaigns and things like that.
sometimes I forget like the ways that teachers can be creative and like that. There's a part of me that's very anarchy within the school system and saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. How do I justify it if admin were to come in my room? How, and especially I did most of my teaching so far in Texas. If I have to justify it,
I'm so sorry.
it's okay. I'm out of
I'm
there now.
so sorry.
I'm out now. But I taught art
Out of teaching or out of Texas?
out of Texas. I just moved up to
Okay, good.
Virginia. Yeah. But like teaching, and I do art, so like anytime I was doing something, I was like, yeah, it's cross curricular. It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're just learning. We're just going outside. We're just exploring. Um, I
We're learning how to draw the veins and the leaves, and yes, how
yes.
to do shadowing on,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a fun lesson where they run around and they collect textures. And it is a way for them just to walk around and not be in my room. But they've got a big piece of paper and a crayon, and we're just going and making texture rubbings all across campus.
I
And
love this.
yeah, we're talking about texture. We're not just walking around to not be in the classroom or not be inside or
Mm-hmm.
get any energy out. We're just so
Collecting textures.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and that was kind of how I came up with the idea of using different first person and third person, which is a standard,
Mm-hmm.
to have them retell what the story was. And, we talked about theme, and we talked about tone, and we talked about voice, and all of those language concepts that are really hard for sixth, seventh, and eighth graders to understand. Understand how this connects to other literature. So those are concepts that are part of the sixth, seventh, and eighth grade curriculum. I mean, they're important. So we would tell stories, and then we would write about our stories, and then we'd identify what are the conflicts. Where's the climax? Okay, the climax was where so and so rolled a one, and so then the dragon came in, and no more so and yeah. So
And that's where it
it's
changed.
yes, but
I love that.
it made it real in a
Mm-hmm.
way that was so hard for most kids to connect to. And when I'm dealing with kids who have difficulties with language, with social communication, with social interactions, this kind of um, storytelling is huge. So I love D&D. I love playing D&D with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my oldest, John, set up an online D&D during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and using um, well, not Zoom, but Discord. And it has continued ever since. And, about 2 years ago, they said, Mom, do you want to play with us? And I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
sure. And it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Did you pull that from into your classroom from that moment, or was the D&D and role playing in the classroom before then?
Oh, long before.
Okay.
Long before. I've been and I used um the standard role play, the pre-made campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
That mostly from third edition. Um and some of them from older than that. Because I'm older than that. But the best part of that was the fact of using the pre-made ones is I could make copies and
Mm-hmm.
have 5 groups in my classroom, and every group in the classroom was having whoever was DMing would have the same map, the same basic storyline, the same ideas. And so when we all came back together as a class, we're all using the same basic story to talk about.
Okay.
Um, oh shoot, what's the Dragon magazine? Um,
I'm trying to
is
think.
I've got 15 of them on my shelf in there.
Mhm,
They would put out an active or a uh, one shot type campaign
mhm.
in every episode. I mean, in every
Issue, yeah.
issue. And I used those because they were easy to copy and they came with NPCs and they came with, um, you could even use their pre rolled characters. So I use those a lot, especially uh, in like from like 2000 to 2015. And most of those magazines came from much older, like in the 80s and early 90s. But that didn't matter, you know.
Right.
I mean, I could pick the the ones that fit whatever I was working on. And in a class of 30 kids, which is a typical 7th or 8th grade classroom, I'd have 5 groups, one DM, one assistant DM, and then the rest players.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it worked.
How did you choose your DMs? Was it the student that was interested? Did you ever have to push your student into maybe
Yes
taking up that
and
mantle?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I One of the things that I did, my classrooms, most of these classrooms were co-taught with a gen ed teacher. And they were not uh, separated. So we didn't have the advanced class and the middle class and the low class. Everybody was mixed. So you'd have some of the really smart, active, engaged students, a whole lot of the middle, and some of the kids that really needed more support in
Mhm.
every class. And oftentimes, those kids that were really smart but had challenging behaviors or they had learning disabilities, or my kids often made fabulous DMs because they were used to playing outside the box. And this gave them the ability to not to be in charge, but that was a piece of it.
Hmm.
They were in control. They were rolling the dice. That was powerful. A lot of times I'd put them as the assistant DM, which meant they were in charge of managing the materials and managing stuff and the board and that kind of thing. But yes, I often had to say, this is what you are doing because I know you can. And that was not always my students. A lot of times those were those sleeper kids who don't want anybody to pay attention to them. I think, Adrian, you might know a little bit of what I speak.
I mean, yeah, I've seen it. I've experienced that. I never really wanted the spotlight or the position. It just kind of fell upon me, and I am now mostly the GM. I just kind of fell into it because it was a role that was necessary to have this type of fun, which was very entertaining to me. So, and someone had
Yes,
to do it, and I guess it was me. And people keep coming back, so I guess I'm doing well. Like I'm not gonna put
yes.
a grade on me, but no one's said, ah, get away from me. Like, I don't know.
But you see, a lot of kids who otherwise don't want the spotlight, just what you're saying, if
Hmm.
you can get them interested and say, you don't have to be you, you can be this other person.
Hmm.
You can be the all powerful, all mysterious DM.
Hmm.
And it allows them to find a skill and a way of looking at the world that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do.
100%.
And,
Yeah.
which is even more important, all of their peers who look at this kid and think he's the weird one, they're now in charge.
And they also kind of finally get to be introduced to that person, that personality that normally in other circumstances just like, whatever. But now that like you're having to interact, it breaks that othering barrier that would just sit there. But now it's, oh, he's the guy that I play D&D with. He does the GMing thing. Like
Yeah.
there is now a title, there's a name, there's something that you both have in common versus that, oh, it's just that one kid. You know,
Uh-huh.
that's so important within social circles, especially young age.
Middle school kids. That I taught middle school for 25 years. And yeah, it is an amazing, that's in Tennessee. Middle school is 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
Oh, in Williamson County where I taught for since 2000. Um and it's amazing the amount of growth. And honestly, just a little tidbit of semi-useless information. There is more brain development in the first 2 years of puberty than at any time in the entire development of a human being, other than 0 to 2.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
this
things happening. Listen, that's a lot with the
But I
oh,
mean,
brain and
there's
the
just
so
body
much.
and
actual
the
physical brain development, actual brain mass, as well as the neurological connections.
Hmm.
The only time there's more is in those first 2 years. And watching sixth graders become eighth graders is just amazing to me. I love it. I get so jazzed with it because they come in squirrely little kids. They're little children, and they leave, and I'm looking up at them because they're,
Yeah,
they're
they've
6 inches
become
taller than me.
yeah, they've developed into like a whole new being, and then they'll continue to develop. But like within that time frame, it's just sprouting.
And if I can give them something that supports their neurological development
Hmm.
and their development of their sense of self,
Mm-hmm.
that's huge.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So that's why I have used D&D and similar role-playing games. I had a group that wanted to do Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different breed.
They really they wanted to play Barbies, but they didn't want to play Barbies. They wanted to play.
Anyway, I survived that semester.
When you were first introduced to TTRPGs, what was your first character? Who was that?
Her name was Marike. Yes, I I was a middle schooler. Well, I was in junior high. Yes, I'm that old. I was a ninth grader because our junior high was 7, 8, 9. We might have started in eighth grade, but Marike was she was a priestess, and we had an absolutely standard campaign group, just straight up frontline fighter. We had a ranger, we had a rogue, we had me, and we had a magic user.
Mhm.
Um, and we played. Oh shoot! I haven't thought of that in 100 years. Um, it was. I still have the box. I have the D&D box.
Oh, that's
I mean, it came in a 9 by 9 or 8 by 10 box, and it had the folded up map, and it had the character sheets, and it had the dice, and we had a 20-sided dice, percentile dice, and 6-sided dice, and that was it.
mm.
And um yeah, and we played, we rotated different houses because the different moms would feed us. And but we really liked either coming to my house because there was lots of food at my house, or we went to George Sahonis's house because his grandma, they were Greek, and his
Ugh.
grandma liked to feed us. And she would make us all these wonderful things because we were all too thin.
Mm-hmm.
And, so, but, and, you know, I won't ever forget Marike because that character
Hmm.
and going through and casting heals and casting, she had uh, not a maul, but a mace.
Mm.
And we got our characters up to between 12th and 14th level. And then we switched DMs, and everybody got a new character, and you couldn't have the same. We all decided
Right.
we
Right.
couldn't have the same race or character class
Yeah.
as in the previous campaign. And we did that about every 2-3 years. And, you know, we played up through graduation. I remember we we had a recording of Pomp and Circumstance at our last D&D session, and we would play every time we'd get stuck in something. We would hit the button and bum 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 bum. So yeah, that group, we played from 8th grade to graduation, and they're some of my closest friends, and I'm still close friends with 4 of them. I mean, this is 40 plus years ago, and I'm still in touch with several of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Let's get the gang back together. Let's just play some more. Listen, I will make it happen. I would love to see it happen. Just a reconnection.
well, it'd be fun.
Alex loves a feel-good story.
I love a feel-good story. I might cry. It's fine.
Well, I've got a good feel-good story for you about D&D and characters.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so my kids, we have the group that we're playing with right now is my son, my oldest son, middle child and his wife, middle daughter and her husband, a very good friend of ours who is a professor of English and medieval studies at the University of Tennessee State University, and the youth group, the leader of the youth group when I was doing D&D. And last month, no, May, um, we had the Discord group open and everything, and all of a sudden, we've got some extras coming in, asking to connect. Well, 2 of our kids from that youth group, who are now in college, had observed a couple times previously, when they were in high school. And so they were both out of college. I mean, home from the semester. And so they knew that we were playing on Saturday nights. And so they got on so they could check in with us and see how we were doing and tell us how they were doing. And one of them is now an English major and is going to um, uh, has her secondary in um, English education and is planning on using all of the stuff that we did. So in her student teaching in the fall, she has to create a unit, and she's going to be in a high school. And so that's what she's decided to do her unit on, is to do the storytelling and theme and creative writing, have her students create their own D&D campaign.
That's
And
really cool.
it was so much fun. I just love it. I love it. I love the fact that that was 2019 when 2020, when those kids, when we were working on that, and she's going into her senior year of college, and that it made that big of a difference. So
How you
it
feeling,
was fun.
Alex? You holding
Listen,
it, all the tears
part of my
back?
brain is like, I love that, and I would love for my students to come back. I know that elementary school presents a really interesting problem because the students, like, you have to have made a very big impact in elementary school for an elementary student to just be like, hey, I need to find this teacher, right? So where you're not quite cognitively ready to
Right.
remember that, like, these are important,
Mm-hmm.
which is okay. That's fine. Like, the trend on TikTok right now of like finding my Miss Honey, or like when the kids showed like the tattoos that they got of something that they said, like, as somebody who's very passionate about working with my kids, I know I'm not going to see that, and that's okay. Like, I hope that whatever I can inspire them to do, and the I guess the long amount of time I have them, that, like, I hope that I wish them very much, very well. The
Mm.
other part of me is always doing curriculum development. And so when you
Yes.
say creative writing, my brain goes, how do we connect this across the curriculum, right? And how fun would it be to have, like, the fan art, or like the art class
Yes.
connecting and saying, like, hey, here's my character, here's what I imagine in my head, and then having, like, the art students create that art, right, from their descriptions or from events, and like having that idea even start, right? Because that's, once again, that can be applied to jobs. If you want to do any character development, if you started a portfolio, it could be an AP art lesson, right? How that is that's your final, that's your AP portfolio.
And I've got a connection talking about cross curriculum. I've
Mm-hmm.
got a way to use the D&D with science. 6th grade curriculum, we talk
Ooh.
about genetics and primary or dominant and recessive traits.
Mm-hmm.
And they create a monster by taking two different monsters, and then they have to figure out which are the dominant and recessive and draw a picture, and you know so of course, I just thought, what if we had, you know
Yep.
that is, pull that in with your creative
Yeah.
writing and your drawing and your, yeah.
And then so here's how we add this on top, right? Then we
Okay.
write a grant to get a 3D printer at the school. And then they can make the 3D models of their characters. And we get the
Yes.
technology classes in on there because they're making the
Uh-huh.
3D models. So,
Uh-huh. And the
listen.
math
And the
classes.
math, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. Adrian, this is constantly going on in my brain. This is how my brain works. Like,
Social
What
this
studies.
conversation.
Hey,
grants?
we can pull in, like I did the year with the Greek and Roman
Mm-hmm.
mythology.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It all can be connected.
It writes itself.
So I
We
just
just need
need
to
to
be
write it.
curriculum writing. So Wizards of the Coast can support this D&D in schools. We can do all of the different cultural monsters, and then this is how you implement D&D in your school.
I love it. Hey, that's how I got chess in the classroom,
Yeah.
and a chess club. And
Mm-hmm.
I ended up with chess at lunch.
Oh.
And I mean, it was, I seriously, I had
Yeah.
40 kids in my
Yeah.
classroom. Classroom did not hold 40 kids. We had kids with chess sets on the floor, and their lunch on one side and the chess. Yeah, because they
Mm-hmm.
were so desperate to have something different and hands-on and interactive. It was amazing.
Yeah. The third, fourth, and fifth graders at my old school love chess. They will sit there and play it whenever they get a chance. The fifth grade teacher was the chess teacher, so a lot of the students in her class just got to like pull out the boards whenever they were done with school or done with their classwork, and then they sit there and they play chess, and it was so cute. And they go to tournaments, and like it's especially is a game that you just don't think to put into the classroom because it's a simple board game. I don't know, but
Simple.
the kids.
Well, but D&D has the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's interactive. It's hands-on. They get to they get they have to keep up with all of the different pieces. What do they have in their backpack? What are they carrying? What are their spells? What are their abilities? What do they roll? And there's so much that they have to keep track of, and yet they're
Yes.
motivated to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part.
Mm-hmm. Because, like, we know if I forget what's in my character sheet, I forget what I have. I could have done things differently.
Yes, I forgot I had those potions, and therefore I died.
Featherfall or healing or anything like that.
Yeah. So,
Ugh. I love that. I do honestly love working. I mean, not that I have to convince anybody on this call that I love working with kids. I love being able to find those ways to connect them into real world things, but like in a safe and fun environment. Because the best thing in life is the joy of being silly and the joy of a community and not always having to worry about their testing, or I don't want to say being able to read because that's still really important, but like getting to come
but
together.
using it.
Yeah.
Right.
And using it.
Yeah.
Reading the manuals, reading what the monster's about, reading what their character's about. It's like actually feeling invested in the reading instead of it's just a story that the teacher society wants me to read. No. but it's
you're
more
right.
like I want to read this because it's beneficial to my play, which gives me this positive feeling.
Yeah.
Or I know what that beholder can do, and so no, that's not what the beholder can do, and so then that kid can say, wait a minute, in the monster manual it says that it has X number of hit points, and it has this hit die, and I mean, they're the smart kid.
Yeah. And
Once
I feel
you
like
know
there's
the rules, you know how to
parallels.
play with it. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. I was saying like there's parallels to how hopefully that grows into something more of knowing your rights kind of thing. Like if you hey man,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here's the rules I read in the freaking rule book, man.
Uh-huh.
And some people just
you're not allowed
don't
to
read
talk
that.
to me without my parent.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So.
No, you can't make me cut my hair.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a story, and I'm really interested in that story. With the face and that specific phrase.
That's not one that probably we should record.
Fair, 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 fair.
People are wild.
Oh,
People are crazy.
Are absolutely wild.
People be all sorts of things.
Yeah, but they can also be good, and we
They can
gotta
also be
remember
good.
that.
yes. And most people
Mm-hmm.
want to make the world a good place.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem comes when a lot of people want their version ahead of any other version,
Mm-hmm.
which is another thing with the D&D because it's not like anybody else's version.
Right.
It's not political. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, I mean, we have blue characters and red, and you might have a hobbit, and you might have a Goliath, and you might have a dragonborn, and your dragonborn might be gray. And so it takes that whole it allows people to look at different kinds of situations, trying to avoid loaded words here.
No, I get you.
You can't talk about skin color
Mm-hmm.
in D&D as one being better or worse because there are so many
Mm-hmm.
and they mean things. If you're green, you're usually acid based,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
but that's not bad or good or better or worse. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I see that like there's so much plethora of those different individuals, and you get to experience people being different, and seeing in that way where it's like I'm not thinking about who's better or worse. I'm thinking about how I'm going to survive together with my community fighting against this big bad evil kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And
Mhm.
it's less about the who we are as our physical appearance and more of who we are as what skills we can bring to the table to in order to defeat this thing and to work together, and
Yeah. And
and
I've
that's what
got
you
to
can see. Yeah,
bless, and I can bless everyone.
Mm-hmm.
right.
And so that helps the entire group.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it's those kinds of things. It it allows kids to step outside of predefined parameters.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one of the most important things.
Oh, 100%. I wanted to ask about like your first character to your most recent character. What is a something that you feel like are very similar to what is very different between them?
Well, I told you, um, Marike was a human um, priestess,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
um, pretty straightforward. My most recent character, and I guess maybe this is why I keep saying Goliath, because I played a Goliath. Um, and uh, she actually had and now all of a sudden I can't think of it. I rolled all ones when character creation. And so we did what is it, where you bump the other characteristics Um, so she was nonverbal.
Mm-hmm.
She had a spirit companion of a wolf who was Nana, and Nana was her voice. And so she basically, um, she was um, she was a fighter, frontline fighter, great big giant hammer. Uh, she had a 21 strength and a really high charisma, really high wisdom, 3 intelligence. Um, and it was a really fun character to play because it was all nonverbal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had to have the camera on me all the time because a lot of times my reactions and everything had to be nonverbal, which was, as you can tell, I like to talk. I'm good at talking. So it was completely not me. I mean, I'm 5'3", and um, Yip, because that's what the wolf Nana would called her, so her name was Yip. Um, so Yip was about as different from me as a character could get. We have started a new campaign at the beginning or the middle of June, and we're playing in. My son is doing kind of a cross. It's a lot of custom stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So my character now is called a Volan, and she is a tender. She's a ranger class, but her job on the ship is as basically the crew's mom. She makes sure that everybody is fed, and she's the mother confessor, and she, all of that. But she is uh, based on a falcon. So yeah, um, I
That's
love the
awesome.
character. I
Yeah.
mean, I've only been playing. Uh, her name is the shortcut is Bree.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but um, do you want to hear what I made up? Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If- I love it. I'll have to fluctuate the audio because the mic tried to cut it out because it sounded like something else in the background was like yelling. So
So that's my bird call.
nice.
So, but anyway, yeah, I like playing characters that aren't me.
I, th-
What about
I th-
you?
us?
Uh-huh.
So here's the
Hmm.
deal: is my characters end up. I'm like,
Full of
yeah,
trauma.
there's nothing of me. There's very little of me in this character. And then you play the character, and you're like, oh, here's whatever trauma I am dealing with right now, and here's how it comes out. So I love to tell you that like my characters have very little to do with me, but they've proved me wrong almost every single time. They are a way for me to deal with whatever the thing is that is heavy in my brain.
I don't. I've usually done a lot of reclusive characters. I'm trying to be more out there with them. I think with I guess a couple foyers of Jimothy McTavish. who was just my one-shot character for everything, but they're like a different class, they're a different race, they're a different everything every single time. But it's like trying to make sure that it is not the same character every single time, just exploring different sides of an individual within a one-shot as much as I can. So that's mostly, but I do love halfling rogue. I just love a little small little sly guy. I just love it.
I like a big lady. Big druid, big barbarian. I like a big lady.
Yeah. I've played that. I've played human. I played a halfling that was a magic user. My kids and I had watched Willow, and so that was the inspiration for my halfling magic user, was Willow with his wand.
I love that.
All right, we've hit the hour mark. Do you have anything to plug, Lisa? No. No worries.
I'm just me.
And that's all we need.
Yeah, listen, it's been fantastic. Thank you, dear listener, for joining us on another episode of Dungeons and Degrees. You can find us wherever pods are cast, so please like, subscribe, give us 5 stars, give us, recommend us to your tabletop group, your youth group, your one bed trope romantic partner. You can also find us on all social medias at Dungeon N, the letter N, as in nope, as in never, as in no Nazis, degrees, everywhere except for Twitter. And then you can also help support us at Patreon at patreon.com/dungeon-and-degrees.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. My name's Adrian.
And I'm Alex.
And I'm Lisa.
Go have some fun.
Boo-doo-boo.